All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. We'd love you to support this show. Please like, follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Your likes and subscription helps us to grow and attract interviews and content. So please retweet and share our posts. Your contributions are appreciated. Welcome to episode 447 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. Today we've got 5 people on the board, which is really nice. Daniel, welcome back. Happy holidays. I'm so glad that in Europe they treat you properly. So you get about, well, how many weeks do you get off now? 8, 9, 10?
No, nowhere near. But I get at least, somewhere around 20 days off. So roughly 3 weeks.
Wow.
I could use 1 or 2 more.
I'm like, yeah, get Monday off.
Of course.
All right, for the rest of us schmucks, Ken, 69th Blizzard, St. Louis Kiss, Lonnie, and someone else who's kind of halfway between Canada and Scandinavia, Mark.
Greetings.
You get days off up north, or at least you get snowed in. So there we
Yes.
go. All right, today we don't have any real topics done. So, Mark, I know that you have some very good news, and I know that a lot of our listeners and followers do also follow your project Gemini and Dark Monarchy and Third Lower Collective projects. But you got good news for people this week, don't you?
Yes, the time has come. Finally, my people who have been waiting. Thank you for your patience. I am pleased to say that the Project Gemini vinyl has arrived. Finally, after 9 months of waiting, it has come.
It's been birthed.
That's all. So this is, of course, number 1, because I keep the first ones. But just really quickly to just show you what you are waiting for. I mean, some of these things you already saw. You saw the cover. You saw the download card, right? There was a little poster that comes with it that highlights all the releases of the Project Gemini collective there. And of course, you have the full color booklet that comes with it, with the lyrics and everything. Jason Pollan, who's also a member of this board, I believe I'm not sure what his handle is. I think it might be the Darko guy. I don't remember offhand, so if I'm wrong, sorry. But he did all that stuff, all the artwork, layout stuff, and he did a great job. But then, of course, this is what we were waiting for all this time: the vinyl, and it's like a marbled brown. It's hard to see it on here, but it's kind of like a root beer marbled color, and the center labels that he did were really nicely done on this.
He's always done a wonderful job with the design aesthetic that goes into those center rings. As a collector, when we had great center rings on Kiss albums like Creatures of the Night, Unmasked, and even
Dynasty.
Music from the Elder and Dynasty, those were the ones in America, at least primarily. I know Canada had a few other ones that were slightly different, with a little bit more pleasing. Just a really important part of the package. Are you happy with the color?
Yes.
Because obviously when you pick it out, and Tom Germain found this, when he placed the order for the Creatures Blue, that it came out dark blue instead of light blue as requested. Did your color selection, make you happy?
Well, basically, I told him what color I wanted. And within the root beer brown, there's a lot of different shades in the palette. And I told William, I go, listen, I'm going to leave it in your hands. I trust you. And this is what I found has worked best for my artwork and for this. Let the people who work on this on a daily basis, let them be the experts and let them do their job. And it's always turned out best that way. So I'm very happy with the color of this, how it came out. But I want to say one more thing. Most of my supporters are very pleased about this aspect of all my releases. And please, if you're an independent record company and you don't do this, please do it. It only costs a couple of extra cents. Poly-lined inner sleeves. Okay, none of this paper sleeve bullshit. I mean, how many times I bought these $50 albums and they come in these crappy paper sleeves and there's paper shit all over that vinyl? Like, come on, man. I'm a little small one-man independent organization in Canada, and I can afford to get polyline sleeves for my records, I'm very sure you can too. Stop being a cheap asshole and do it. Come on, okay? So
all right, so we put a Canadian quarter in Mark for that one.
What do you call a Canadian quarter?
just a quarter. We call our dollar
Okay.
bills.
I didn't know.
We call our dollar coins loonies and toonies and stuff like that, right? But a quarter is just a quarter here.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Yeah, but there again, thank you very much for everybody who has been waiting and being patient. I got lots of messages from people as it's come close to this time where people are saying we're happy, we're waiting, we know it's going to be worth waiting for.
Where's my
vinyl? So, and that's why I'm very pleased with my supporters that they, stick around for the ride, and hopefully, when the next record comes out, it won't be nearly as long a wait for this kind of vinyl. So.
Yeah, no, anyone who puts out product, you and I, we are eternally grateful for those who support our projects and our passions with your money, your hard-earned money. It really is very important. Now, has anyone bought? Oh, one last thing on Mark's is those bonus tracks kick ass. I'm not going to say what they are because that's probably your surprise.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing it.
I'd like to hear an update on Julian's new book, because I've seen some of the stuff that he's been working on, and it looks great. The stuff you did about Sweden. So give you an
update on that. Emil sent me a shit ton of Swedish newspaper clippings, and Emil. You make me sound like I'm slow-witted or slower-witted than normal. No, he sent me so much really awesome content that I've been putting together, roughing out the Swedish section. I mean, there's so much I can't use it all, but to see, and I was running it through my own translation stuff as well, just to see if that came up. And then I saw that he'd sent me translations as well. I mean, he really went above and beyond. So much really, really good stuff. And, I think I condensed it down to about 6 pages. I'm still a little bit undecided whether I'm going to bump it a couple more pages to include more of the clippings and some of the translations for it, because Sweden, English fans getting arrested for basically riding on the ferry over to the shows. So many really good stories about that. But, that ties back to something that Mark said about letting the designers and the artists do their job. The cover for that, I came in with a concept for it, gave it to Claudio, and said, this is my concept. What do you think? And where do you want to go with that? I want the artists who work on my books, whether it's Aerosmith, Def Leppard, or Kiss, to be invested in it. Because I think if you've got an artist who really digs and gets into what they're working on, you come out with a better end result. So that's Mask Hysteria. That's the update. Sweden, I'm still kind of pottering along on it, and I will over the holiday. Sweden turned out to be a lot of fun. I need someone like Emil in France and Germany. Those are still very blank in terms of a lot of the localized newspaper features. Recently I've dug into Switzerland, which I've managed to take care of on my own. Thank God it's French magazines and not German, because there I'd be buggered. But France, I need help. I need for the shows there, in the popular press, in the music press, the same sorts of things. If you've got them in your collection and you're willing to share, it would be really nice to be able to put this together in the same quality that I've got for Switzerland, Denmark, Sweden, Australia. This is a fan project. And again, nothing's being sold before it's available for everyone. Even the roughs that everyone's seeing are a demo. They're not, I hope to be able to engage an InDesigner to do a professional, kind of rendering of my concept after the fact. But, it's coming along. Who's bought some Kiss shit this week? Lonnie, you got some mail?
I did. I got some mail today. I got my Alive 2 limited edition blue and red swirl. And
Tom got the Tom didn't get the baby blue on the Creatures vinyl, so he got it in the logo for Alive 2.
And I also got the limited edition picture disc.
Oh, nice.
Very cool with the stencil on the front, by the way.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And I noticed one thing when mine arrived, that the die-cut picture disc one is larger.
It is a hair larger.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's
Also, that explains it. I was wondering before about the die cut thing, because when I got my record in the mail, I was wondering why this wasn't die cut. I guess the ones that are the swirl ones don't have the die cut. It's just a print like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but I lucked out in one sense that I was looking through here, and when I took it out, they by mistake put in 2 copies of the tattoos in there for me. So they were stuck together. So I have an extra thing of the tattoos.
So it's
they're so screwed up, because like the Love Gun one, they forgot to put in the Love Gun.
Oh yeah.
And then they put in they're so screwed.
Yeah, look, like I opened it. It was like this. I took it out, and then all of a sudden, I slid it apart, and I was like, "Oh wait, there's 2 of them in there." So
nice. Well, throw one up on eBay.
Yeah.
Maybe I know there's a couple people out there that, or I saw at least one person that did not get the tattoos. It was on Facebook.
Well, now Mark's holding them hostage.
So you have
son of a bitch
for a small fee for a couple of loonies.
For a Dress to Kill red vinyl, I'll give you the
Canadian
tattoo.
Quarters.
I got that blue one too, but I'm still waiting for the die cut deal. I did get this shirt in the mail.
Oh, nice.
This week. So that was.
The t-shirts are always good on these releases. That's one thing I can't complain about.
Yeah,
they're nice and thick too.
For once, I've spent more money than you on Kiss this month.
You did. Are you?
Oh, the
show your
tickets.
Your roll. How many shows?
6 Kiss tickets, but they're not all for me. So I'm going. So far, they're only playing 2 nights in Sweden at a beautiful concert. Not really a concert hall. It's like an old mine quarry, you say, yeah.
Like Red Rock.
Yeah,
sort of. Not like Red Rock. It's more like an open quarry. We used to ride dirt bikes in one that looked just like that, with water at the bottom and all the sides chiseled out.
And they've made it into sort of a place where artists come and play. And I've never been there before, so it will be great. So I bought first night. I'm going front row. Second night, I actually bought tickets for all my kids. They've never seen a Kiss show, so I have 3 daughters. They're like
that's
14. God damn, I don't know how old they are. 14, 11, and 10, sort of. Somewhere around.
Sort of.
Yeah, I know the year they're born, but I'm having a hard time
thinking in Swedish and doing the numbers in English.
The years go so fast, so so I'm bringing them to see, and then we're going to be seated row. I think it's 15 or 20 or something, pretty close. So
nice.
I'm looking forward. So I'm really looking forward to this summer.
Nice. Should be great.
And I hope you guys get to go to some shows as well.
I nearly bought tickets for Newcastle, Glasgow,
Plymouth.
And Plymouth. I don't know what my movements are going to be with my mom next year. I've got to see my mom as much as I can. I'll be out there in January, but I couldn't bring myself to buy the tickets from this new promoter because they're digital.
Oh, okay.
I want the
physical.
Yeah, I'm not going to Ace in February. I was ranting about that when I went to go and buy tickets. The fees were so high on them, and you don't even get a physical ticket. I was like, screw that. I'm not going to pay to go see Ace play the same old Kiss songs that I'd rather drop a bootleg on. And then I remember that I'm in North Carolina for those shows anyway, so I'm glad I didn't buy them, because that happened to be with Public Image and the Kiss Cruise. So I did buy one thing this week, and there's a new Kiss book. For those people who have to have everything, Kiss in the 1970s is under a title called Decades. The author's a Scottish chap, great Glaswegian accent by the sounds of it, Peter Gallagher, who I will try and interview, I think. It's a mass market book, so the sort of thing that you'd see at a Tesco or a gas station, W.H. Smith, and out here I guess, Barnes and Noble, like the KissFAQ publication that Dale Sherman did. It's not the arcane delve into the minutia that James Campion did, or Ken Sharp has done, or Tim McFate has done on any of the subjects. It really is more a generalized history of the band. And, it's got some nice writing style just from the first few pages that I've been able to flip through. It's up on Amazon, so check it out if you're interested. If you got to have every single book that ever has been published about Kiss, grab it. If you think you're going to learn anything new, I'm not too sure if that's going to be the case, since some of my books are cited in there. So nice. Why don't we jump into some topics? It's the holiday season. Christmas is a couple of days away. Peter Criss has just had his birthday, which looked like an absolute blast from the photos that are now posted all over the place. But we all received a gift early. I want to get everyone's take on the Nothing to Lose Bell Sound Studio. People call it a demo, but basically I think it was September, October 73, before they went in to do the album sessions, they went into Bell Sound and quickly did a quick and dirty recording of their catalog to date for Kenny Kerner and Richie Wise to select the songs that would be recorded for the first album. We know of, I think it's 6 or 7 songs. Most of them were included on the Kiss box set in 2001. Only Nothing to Lose and Acrobat remained unreleased. And Nothing to Lose in all its glory, with a bit of a taste of Acrobat, dropped this week. So they finally got out. Don't know how. I have some ideas. But Lonnie, I want to start with you on that. No, you didn't listen to them yet. You've been that busy.
What the heck?
No, I'm just glad Lonnie's here today. Ken, get us started. While Lonnie talks.
Yeah, I listened to it a couple of times. That was a really cool surprise. Especially never hearing it before.
That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I posted that, I think this is the best version of the song out there. It's better than the album version. I like it better than the live version. It's really fun, loose and fun, and it sounds like they have a good time with it, I just really, really enjoy it. That's what maybe how the first album should have been produced, more of that feel, that sound that they had on the demo. But it's really, really good. I thought about it. Said, well, why did this all of a sudden drop now? And then there's some speculation that they're doing the next box set or something, kind of like that Creatures Leaks, something like that, where maybe they're doing the first.
What
Kiss album.
A Grinch is trying to ruin some future surprise.
Kiss box set, or Kiss, first 2 album or something like that, because it's the same,
Sounds
period of
familiar.
time. Yeah. So really good. I was really happy to hear it.
Yeah, clearly the label has that material. Clearly the label has plans for that material at some point in the future. But my theory is Rachel's tapes, rather than it having anything to do with any possible future thing. I think, 2024 will be the 50th anniversary of the debut album. Who knows what Universal may be planning all the way down that road. But we do know that Rachel had a shitload of tapes, and who knows, I know they're not in her hands, and who knows what's been happening.
Right?
Well, I don't know whether they were sold or stole. I just know that they're not in her hands anymore, and that they have been digitized. And I know that there were a lot of very interesting ones from anyone can check out her Lady Space site for themselves and see the sorts of things that were included in it. When you see a tape labeled Kiss Rehearsal on a very old cassette shell, then that could just about be anything. Could it be this? Well, so there are the possibility of alternative sources to it coming out of Universal, especially since the quality's so shit. So there we go. Mark, you got a chance to hear it?
Yeah, I listened to it. At first when I saw it, I thought it was just one of these mislabeled thing that just some person found something, and I thought it was some, miswritten thing. And when I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I thought it was very good. You can clearly tell that it was done at a studio. It wasn't like, a single microphone in some rehearsal room. It was done like in a proper spot. Sounded good. There's obviously some differences in there, some different lead lines and different vocal things here and there. And Nothin, no loo, like a little couple of extra things in there that he did, which was interesting. I enjoyed it. I mean, I've always been a sucker for these kind of, working man's kind of, recordings where they work on a song and then, they build on it and build on it. I like it. I think it turned out really good. I think Ken might be onto something, that they might have had a better sounding album if they kind of took this kind of production approach to it. I think it's a little bit rawer, and I think it sounds, pretty good this way. I mean, I think the problem with Kerner and them is that they were trying to make it a little bit more polished, trying to ride that line between maybe let's try to get something on radio, but let's not show that we care about that too much, So, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done, and I love it when these kind of things leak.
Yeah, I'd never heard this before, by the way.
Really?
So it was new,
Surprise,
totally new to
surprise.
me. Yeah, so, not everyone has heard everything, so it's still nice to get a surprise. Daniel.
I think it's interesting how much stuff that has been leaked this year that we haven't heard, all the way from the soundboards, from the Animalized tour, from the Creatures tour and so on, up to this demos that hasn't been used on any official release. So I mean, and also the Loomis tapes, of course. So we've been in for a real treat this year when it comes to stuff that we haven't heard or seen before. So it's been a great year that way. But it also hits you that why didn't Kiss do something with anything of this? Maybe there's legal stuff, but you don't know. But there's so many possibilities for them to release great stuff that they miss. But that's no news to us, at least. But it's been a great year, and this is just another great thing that we get to hear. 2022. I mean, so many years after it was recorded, it's kind of cool that there are still a lot of stuff that we haven't heard. I mean, this year has been pretty spectacular when it comes to things that we haven't heard before.
Des Moines.
I can't think. Des Moines and every off the summer have been great. But I really like that Cluster of Creatures show that you can get a hold of. Like I don't remember 4 or 5 Creatures show, sounding really cool. The one from Toronto and Rockford and so on. So it's been a great year in that way, and this is just another thing that we get to enjoy.
Yeah, we'll do the best of 2022 next week live. Yeah. So for everyone watching, tune in this normal time slot next Thursday, and we're going to go through what we think the best of 2022 was. I think we'll have to limit it a little bit. Lonnie.
Just quickly before Lonnie starts, I tried to share some of the, some tunes from the Animalized tour and Creatures tour, but it only took like 2 days. Then Elite Works hit me, and my channel was, cut down. So
really, eh?
He's still at it. Yep.
Well,
Elite Jerks, that works. Anyway.
Well, that person is claiming copyright on things that he clearly does not own copyright on, but he's also claiming things that he totally legitimately does own copyright on. 8mm footage, he owns.
Yeah, I just want
no matter how pissed anyone gets that they get a takedown on the 8mm footage, he owns that, and he can do that completely legitimately. And while people may get upset about that, that's just the way it goes. Yeah. Now
I just wanted to share some of the best tunes from those recordings. I didn't think anyone.
He doesn't own those recordings.
No, I know that.
Universal owns those. Universal owns the music.
Yeah.
He doesn't own the transfers. He may own the cassette that they're on, but he does not own the intellectual property that is on
He
those.
hit me pretty
But
hard.
Universal and Kiss have their eyes shut when it comes to all of this for some odd reason. So, enjoy it to yourself and just stop trying to share, because it's just not worth it. All right, Lonnie, let's get into some topics here. The first one I want to jump into is the Ankh legacy. And I'm supposed to be a Vinnie Vincent
The
hater.
Ankh or the Ankh?
Ankh. The Ankh legacy. The legacy. Yeah, the legacy of the donkey. There you go. And there was a good, post on the FAQ by 7 Notes. Vinnie was in character makeup for 56 shows from December the 27th, 1982 to June the 25th, 1983. That's it. Is that character really important to Kisstory? Vinnie obviously added something to the group that kept them going forward for a few years, but the makeup character, not so much. Lonnie, what's your take on that hot take?
It is not important to the Kiss legacy because the average fan doesn't know that character at all. The average fan barely even knows Vinnie Vincent was in the band. The average fan, the average casual fan at a Kiss concert. Now I know people watching this, and even you guys are probably like, "Oh, whatever, it's Vinnie Vincent." Well, that's people like us. A lot of people that even go to the shows don't know who Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer are, and Tommy Thayer has been in the band for the last 20 years. So that keeping that in mind, the fact that Vinnie only played so many shows in that makeup, a lot of people would probably even look at a Kiss t-shirt with Vinnie's makeup on it and think, what is that? They wouldn't even know what that character is. And I know that's going to be upsetting to a lot of the Vinnie Vincent people out there, but it's the truth. So it's not put on a pedestal type stuff. I'm sorry. In the grand scheme of things, I know with the circles that we talk in with on the FAQ and people who watch this show and the people who do this show, different story. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not.
The voice of reason has spoken.
It's true.
All right, Ken, what say you?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Lonnie on that.
Kind of, or you are with Lonnie?
Yeah.
There is no kind of.
You're in the middle.
Lonnie.
Get out.
That's right.
The middle, get out, right. Yeah, to the diehard Kiss fans, it's something that you can't overlook, and forget about, and why they did choose that makeup and Vinnie, and it's the whole story of history and all that stuff. But yeah, I agree. As far as the casual fan out there doesn't know who's behind the makeup of these people, that's Ace Frehley. I mean, I hear it at every show that I go to. There's Ace gonna play that Ace. You're awesome. I hear that. I'm like, oh God, So it's the same old thing. But us diehards, I think it does matter. At least to me, it matters. But yeah, there's two halves. The diehards and the casuals, like you were saying, Lonnie, and I agree with that. So it is what it is. I don't know.
It is what it is.
So you're not in the middle. There we go. All right, good. Lonnie's happy now. Mark.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to agree with the guys on this one because I think one of the advantages that Ace and those guys had is that they had the luxury of time. When they first came out, it wasn't just overnight where people became familiar with these characters. It took a few albums and a few tours, and then people started saying, it was Spaceman and the Demon or Star Child or whatever, and associating them with these names. I mean, like you said, Vinnie wasn't in barely a year in this makeup, so there was no time for anybody to kind of, associate him with this character and kind of have it spread like wildfire and become a proper character. I mean, I don't even think that the Fox character got that much, solid footing. I don't think. Maybe it obviously did more than the Ankh, but I don't think that they had the luxury of having as much time for people to get used to it and to have it etched into their minds, right? So that's one of the things that I think give it the big, negative response to it. I think that the people just didn't have time to get used to it.
Yeah, I think Lonnie nailed it in that we are kind of a special breed.
You're muted, Lonnie.
I didn't hear that comment.
Sorry. Or weren't even aware of it because Kiss was so low in '83 when they toured.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even aware of it. The tour advertisements had Ace Frehley on them, but it wasn't Ace. So a lot of people weren't even aware of it. And I love Vinnie. Like Julian and I were in Atlanta to meet Vinnie, his first public appearance in years. I had Vinnie sign my freaking leg that night. But let's just be real about it, though.
Yeah, and let's be real about Vinnie. They distributed the promo photos of the band with Vinnie in December 1982, but most local newspapers just went with what stock they already had. So he had a hard, he was hard done by that. They were still using Dynasty stock on some of the, ads, but there were still plenty of ads with him. But I think it's fair to say that the Fox and the Ankh are irrelevant in history to the wider audience than us geeks who are actually recording or watching a Kiss podcast. I think we have more of an emotional connection with the Fox because Vinnie is generally disliked for one reason or another, whether it's his behavior as witnessed in person or because they've drunk the Kool-Aid of the stories told, about him secondhand. So Eric is gone and dead, and no one's going to speak ill of the dead and the Fox. And Vinnie is still around and doing some rather strange things at times. So to us as diehards, we say, oh, it's important. They were rebuilding in creatures. It's we're clutching our pearls here. But the guy who's singing the words "The Rock and Roll All Night," who owns the very best of Kiss next to you at the show, don't know shit about either of those characters, nor do they care. Daniel.
Yeah, but I think that goes for almost every band. You have a core fan base, which is about 5 or 10% of the audience at a concert. The rest are just regular. So I just last night I watched this new documentary about Rolling Stones, and they talked about Charlie Watts. I think the latest one. I don't know what it's called. Martin Scorsese did one a few years back. It was great, but this is a new one that's just been released this year. So I thought it was interesting, but then I thought about it. Bill Wyman, the bassist, he hasn't been in the band for decades. I don't care. Charlie Watts doesn't play the drums anymore. I don't care. As long as I get Mick Jagger on vocals, I'm good. Maybe
Did you go to the tour? Did you go to the show?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay. No, I didn't. I spent all my money on Kiss tickets, so I'm all out of money. But that goes for me for every band except Kiss. That goes for me as well. I don't really care if Charlie Watts is playing the drums or the Rolling Stones. I don't really care if Mick Mars is playing the guitar in Motley Crue.
What?
Wow, that's a hot take.
But Motley Crue hasn't been Motley Crue for 2 decades. I watched them in 2005. The last year they were great. After that, it's just the same old.
It's interesting that Daniel says this though, because I can see it with some bands that people kind of look at Aerosmith and say Joe Perry and Steven Tyler, as long as they're there, the core of it is there, blah blah blah.
Well, they all even call Joey, Tom, and Brad the other 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, the one band that I can tell you for sure, I've never heard that happen, and I don't think would ever have that happen. And they proved it because once somebody left the band or deceased from the band, they never continued. It was Rush. Nobody would ever say that. Oh, well, you know, if Geddy didn't play bass, it wouldn't matter. Are you crazy? Like all three of them, you couldn't say that.
Even if it was the original band, I wouldn't go watch Rush anyway.
Well, that's you. Okay.
I just had to put that in there. I'm sorry about that. I just had to,
just to get Mark's reaction.
Yeah, I had to watch Mark's reaction. No, so you know, that's the way it goes. You know, if you're a big fan of a band, of course it matters. And Vinnie, personally to me, was really important. I mean, Lick It Up and Creatures of the Night are two of my absolute favorite albums of all time when it comes to any band in the world. So, of course, Vinnie Vincent is important to me. But after Lick It Up, he really fast became really unimportant. I haven't listened to any of his stuff after that. And by the time his solo band, you know, went into the grave, he hasn't done anything, and I just wished he wouldn't have come back in 2017.
So you don't like any of the Vinnie Vincent Invasion stuff? You don't like any of that stuff?
I actually prefer his Warrior demos over his albums that he released. I really like the Warrior demos, and we talked about it a bit last time, but you know, the demos and to the Warrior demos, I mean, they are just spectacular and could be great songs, but you know, it was done by 1988 or something, whenever it was. He should just not have been in the public eye after that. So to me, important. To the rest of the world, not that important.
Yeah.
Ken?
You already asked me.
Well, this has gone on so long, this segment.
I agreed with Lonnie for the most part.
Lonnie on the first go-round, because he got 2 bites of that cherry. Yeah, so there we are with that. You know, I hope Vinnie does do some more stuff, though. You know, he has another party coming up, but that just seems to be it. I'm going to wait and see if there's ever any new music. I hope there is, but in terms of where he stands, I'll say this. To us, and whether the people know it or not, Creatures and Lick It Up basically gave the band 10 years. Yeah. Everything else was downhill from there. And they coasted into having to do the reunion. So at least we can appreciate what those 2 albums and his creativity brought to the band, regardless. Sure. And obviously, Revenge was a token attempt to re-grasp some of that, which completely failed because of the changing times. All right, let's move on to another topic. This one really interests me because someone posted, and I added, should recent technology be used to improve Hotter Than Hell? And this has been done very recently, and the best example of it is the Beatles, who, come on, if you want to put anyone up on a plateau, the Beatles, always and forever, along with the Stones. But they issued their Revolver deluxe box set, and they used Peter Jackson audio technology to separate the audio so that they could remaster and remix it in a way that wasn't available from the original studio tapes. There's a lot of criticism that has historically gone on about the sound of Hotter Than Hell. We've seen Kiss allow Bob Ezrin to go back to the, I guess in some cases, multi-tracks, but mixed downs and multi-tracks, because the way Bob Ezrin records means that a lot of those multi-tracks were mixed down, and that's all that remains of those, to fuck around with Destroyer. So could or should that sort of technology be leveraged to reimagine Hotter Than Hell in some different oral universe? Lonnie?
I think it'd be, you said could or should, I think it'd be interesting to see what it has the possibility of sounding like. At the same time, we've talked about this, and we've talked about Hotter Than Hell or about like Unmasked and like what could be done to remaster those albums and make them sound more pleasing to us Kiss fans' ears. You know, I think it'd be interesting. But at the same time, that's hotter than hell to me, though, at the same time. And I don't know that outside of getting it for the first time and listening to it the first month or so, and then once the newness of it wore off, that if I was in the mood for hotter than hell, I'd go to this 2023, 2024 remastered version of it. Because it wouldn't sound like hotter than hell to me. Because I grew up with listening to hotter than hell. And it would, I almost fear that it would sound like, I don't know, like a re-record even almost. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't sound like hotter than hell. Like here, like Destroyer Resurrected. When you want to listen to Destroyer, and God knows Mark doesn't, but when you want to listen to Destroyer, do you go pull out your Destroyer Resurrected, or do you go pull out your 1976 version of Destroyer? Because that's what Destroyer sounds like to you. So could they? Yeah. You know, should they? Well, maybe. But once the newness of it would wear off, I still think that it wouldn't be hotter than hell to me.
Interesting.
Mic drop.
Mark, what say you?
What say I?
Yeah. He brought up Resurrected and Ezrin, so that's supposed to trigger you into.
To answer that, there's no good reason to listen to any of the Destroyer releases. So, but in any case,
go and listen to Rush. Yeah.
But I'll say this: should they do it? You know, I think Lonnie has a good point. By this time in our Kiss listening, we are so used to the way Hotter Than Hell sounds. That's how Hotter Than Hell is in a lot of people's, listening world. So if they changed it, like Lonnie said, would it make a real big difference? Would it be one of those things where you would go back to it and continue to listen to it? Probably not, because you're so used to the original version of it. And a lot of people say, oh, I like the kind of darkness of it, the kind of dark tones to it. Me personally, I think that it could have done with a remix for sure, but I would have looked at it differently. What I would do is wait till they do a box that includes Hotter Than Hell and include the original, right? Whether it's remastered or whatever, but then do a version of it that's remixed then, so that people can have it in sort of a box set format. They say, okay, well, here's what they did with it when they change it around. Because with that way that Peter Jackson did it, you can really get into the fine nitty gritty of it. And the main reason why he made that technology is because you couldn't get multi-tracks of those Beatles stuff. It was hard to find those things, and you couldn't pull it apart easily.
Well, it was for the Get Back documentary that he came up with it, so that he could isolate some of the dialogue in particular, and also get a good separation of the instruments that were recorded in some pretty shitty locations, to be honest.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying that it's good technology for those times when you only had 4-track recording and they had like several instruments on one track to try to pull those apart, right? So Hotter Than Hell doesn't have that problem because it was done on multi-track, but whether those multi-tracks are in any good condition, who knows? But it would be interesting to hear it, just to hear what they would do, because there were so many different, problems with it at the time, monitors being replaced on a daily basis, blah, 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 blah. But, I'm kind of used to it now, how it is as well. One of the interesting comparisons I've heard of it is when you listen to like an original US copy of it, and then you put on like a Japanese pressing of it, because the way the Japanese remasters usually are a little bass light, there is a little bit of an honest difference in when you listen to it that way. So you kind of get a little sneak peek of how it could be if they did do a little bit of an alteration on it sonically. Now, whether you like that or not, that's everybody's different choice in that matter. But I don't know. I think that if you're going to do that, keep it for like a box set situation. Otherwise, I think most people are happy with the way Hotter Than Hell is now. We're certainly used to it. That's for sure.
Yeah, the P33Cs, again, for the Japanese audio, they're mastered quieter and they also have that additional breadth to them. That's probably why they still remain my go-tos, and they were all issued in 86. So AI and some of the data, your AI audio is only as good as the data sets that have been fed into it. What do you feed into it to be a data set for Hotter Than Hell? You've only got the sounds of the first album. You can't teach it how to separate those sounds using Love Gun, which is completely different sonics and a completely different signature. So you can't feed it that. Otherwise, it's going to be false data.
And one thing, too, that if you want to really nitpick, if you want to have an idea of what it could sound like, if I'm not mistaken, they did re-record Hotter Than Hell for Sonic Boom on that extra disc of those re-records.
No.
So, I mean, but there's an example of how...
Yeah. When's the last time you went to listen to that?
Yeah, that's how it could sound if it was maybe remixed or redone again. So there you go.
No. False equivalency there. Completely false equivalency. There is no comparing that 2000. What is the last time anyone here listened to that 2007 recording?
I can't even remember.
Long time ago.
Yeah. All right, Daniel. So could or should it be redone?
It would be kind of fun to hear, but I say leave it alone. The people who likes it, they won't listen to any other recording. If I want to listen to a different kind of Hotter Than Hell, I go to a live recording from the Revenge tour. I think that's more fun than hearing them trying to making the album sounding like up to date. And you can go to Creatures. I mean, they did the half speed version. They did the remaster, and still people claim that the 1997 version is the best sounding one. So I don't know if you can do that much. I mean, some people will like a new version of it. Some people will go to the old version. Why bother? Do something else instead.
Yeah, because it costs money. I just want to inject before I go to Ken. The Revolver, I've deleted that off my iPhone already. That abomination. Really? I have the CD version. Again, it's like Destroyer Resurrected to me. I don't like its difference. It was fine as a chalk key. So say as a bonus item in a box would be perfectly fine. It's an amuse-bouche, something to be quickly consumed and disposed of. But I don't want that to be, it's revisionist. Again, it goes back to my interpretation of AI and data sets, that you just can't do it without having some sort of bias come into it. And change what the original intent was. Would it be amusing to listen to? Yeah, and maybe they could sell some copies. But I'm going back to listen to my original version of Revolver that's been on my iPhone forever, because that's what this old brain's used to. Ken?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Mark on that about because I kind of thought, the box set they could do something. If they're going to do it on there. It's an additional selling point, to try to sell it. And if they are able to do it, and they actually separate out the instruments and try to remaster it or remix it, that is, I'd have them have Eddie Kramer do the remixing and see what he can do with it. We hear something like the current demo that Nothin to Lose demo, and I've listened to Nothin to Lose a million times on the first album and live, and I like that new demo better than anything else I've heard. So
because it has context,
maybe, but I had never heard it before, and it's like, oh, it's pretty good. So maybe, it's going to sound different, obviously, in some ways, but it's the still same recording. But if they can make it just that chance of that possibility of making it more, less tinny on the drums or whatever, I'm all for it, for them at least trying to do it.
Well, there we go. A bunch of different opinions. So, I'd give it a listen. be game for, to give it a spin. All right, let's go into
Daniel?
2 other things.
Hey, Daniel hasn't.
I just like to say you'd give it 1 spin. That's it.
Then you throw it away.
Did I skip you, Daniel?
No. Continue.
He just had a comment.
Okay. What, did you raise your hand like in school?
I meant 1 spin. That's it for the new version. Then you go back to the old version.
He deleted it off his phone.
Yeah, I'm a Luddite. I'm old-fashioned. All right, so there's been a couple of other video things that have been pumped out this week. Number 1 is Bruce Kulick and Lisa Lane. Kulick did a cover of Snow for the Christmas song for this year. And the Spinning Gold trailer. Looks like that's happening next year. I am going to that. I am announcing I will go and drop my money to go see that in the cinema, assuming there is one in San Francisco, to hear the music that is the soundtrack to Casablanca. I love the Casablanca catalog. There's so much good shit there. Lonnie, did you by chance get to see either of those?
I did see those. I didn't know about this Nothing to Lose thing. This job that takes up all my time. But
it's really bugging him now. I can tell.
I went and downloaded it just like I'll listen to it here in
Multitasking.
a few minutes. I am. I like that Bruce does this every year, and I think that's kind of fun that Bruce just does this fun little Christmas thing with his wife every year. It just makes Bruce just that much more likable and that much more human. Is it guitar shredding rock and roll? No, it never is. But I just think it's just nice. It's really just encompasses what Bruce Kulick really is. Yeah. So I think it's cool that Bruce does things like this does this every year, and he has like his pancake recipes that he shares and that.
Pancakes, eh?
Right. And
yeah.
But I just think it, like you guys said, just makes Bruce that much more human and just kind of just shows like a lot of just who he really is. So I think it's, he's not doing it to make money. He's just doing it basically to do something with his wife and to do something fun for the fans for Christmas. So I think that's cool because he's not trying to profit off it. He's just doing it for fun.
Do you remember those little avatars back in the 90s and 80s? Give the gift of music. Mm-hmm. Bruce Kulick does. Yeah, he continues to do that. Daniel.
Yeah, I always liked Bruce's playing on records. I always liked his loyalty to the band. He's like the perfect studio musician. But this kind of stuff, I don't really care for. I mean, I think it's almost embarrassing when they do this kind of stuff. I haven't seen this one, I have to say, but I think trying to, I don't know. You can say it like Lonnie. Oh, he's a good guy. But I don't want the good guy. I want the guitar monster, Bruce Kulick. I want him to record, a cover of some old Led Zeppelin song or a Who song or his take on a Mötley Crüe song or something where he can show off his talent, his guitar talent. That's what's made him Bruce Kulick in the band. That's what's made him special. This kind of stuff is just boring as hell. Boring as hell.
Daniel Scrooge. Humbug.
But it's been done for so many years, decades. I remember when Twisted Sister released a whole record of this kind of crap.
That's a little much.
Going all the way and trying to, make money from Christmas.
Fatten their wallets.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first time when I really got, fed up with this kind of stuff, and they still do it to this day. And it's the opposite. It's like the opposite of rock and roll. It should be rebellious. It should be heavy. It should be exciting. And then you record. Then yes, he's trying to get some sort of attention. And the pancake stuff, I won't even get into that kind of stuff. What the hell is that? That's so embarrassing. I mean, and unfortunately, Bruce is maybe the best guitarist ever in Kiss. but he's the most boring guy in Kiss as well. I just have to say it. I have to be honest. Just have a look at the latest video from Andrew Schimbatti when he, rise to it. Great video. Great job, Andrew. And then he tries to give Bruce a segment when he talks about glasses, inflatable glasses or whatever it is. And it's boring as hell for 1 minute. I say, edit that out in the next version, Andrew.
Jeez.
So unfortunately... Yeah, but Bruce is great, but he shouldn't be doing this kind of boring old man stuff.
Something must have happened up in Sweden.
He is an old man.
Sweden is the home of the...
wise.
But you mean releasing Christmas songs? You're a rock and roller. Come on.
Come on, Daniel. You live up in the home of the reindeer, up in Sweden.
Yeah. They eat the fucking reindeer up there. They don't worship them.
Yeah, but they
kill them.
It's
shoot them
where
dead.
the Christmas spirit lives, Daniel. Come on.
Yeah,
No.
we shoot the fucking reindeer and we eat them.
Rudolph. Oh.
Wow.
What are your daughters getting for Christmas, Daniel?
Medium
reindeer steak.
Kiss tickets.
Steak. And then kiss tickets. Yeah. No, but I think it's embarrassing.
The Rudolph ribeye.
Bottom line, Bruce should be playing rock and roll, not Christmas songs. It's embarrassing.
Ken, what say you?
Moving on.
Weren't there two subjects? There was Bruce, and what was the other one, Julian?
Spinning Gold. The
Spinning
Okay,
Gold.
I'll go to
I
Spinning
will go see
Gold.
Spinning Gold though too.
I didn't even
Spinning
get there,
Gold.
but that looks like something that can be kind of exciting.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that.
Okay. Yeah, the Bruce thing, I think it's perfectly fine. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I love
reminds me
Christmas
of the old
music.
Swedish Volvo ad. Let's go for a drive in the Volvo, have a crash. It's perfectly fine.
Right. Oh gosh. So, and pancakes are okay 2 days. It's all right. Paul makes pizzas too, so it's always
And do you enjoy those videos?
Don't bring.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy them very much.
Don't even mention the pizzas in front of Daniel.
No. All right. So Spinning Gold. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, and maybe I might, like Julian, and go to the theater and actually pay for it. We'll see how that goes, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. At least seeing the story and see how accurate this may or may not be.
Not.
Yeah, it's probably not very accurate. I'm sure there's a lot of things we're going to go, oh, no, that's wrong. Kiss, no, that didn't do that. And yeah, you're going to have Funkadelic and Gladys Knight and the Pips and, the whole shebang. So I think it'll be interesting. I don't think there's going to be much.
Don't forget Captain and Tennille.
Oh, yeah. They were there for a while. I like Captain and Tennille. And, yeah, they should. Yeah, Cher was there for a while too.
Parliament, Funkadelic, Parliament.
Yep, Parliament, Funkadelic.
Max Smith.
There's a lot. There's a lot of artists that they signed. Player was on the label for a short period of time too.
Yeah, Casablanca bought all these frickin' labels: Chocolate City, Oasis, which Donna Summer came from. Millennium, all sorts of shit. So I mean, Wildflowers, the jazz series, is pretty legendary as well. There's so much to that story, but it looks fun. I didn't go see Detroit Rock City in the cinema. I've never seen any Kiss shit in the cinema. And I'm probably running out of time.
I'm just gonna say, I was thinking, if I go to it, it's probably gonna be about the same amount of people as there were when Detroit Rock City was out, because there was only it was a handful, right? A handful of people, and it's probably going to be a handful again.
But we'll be singing along to probably that whole soundtrack. Village People, all of that stuff.
Yeah, Village People, definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, it is the music.
Sing Macho Man. Then.
Except from the Kiss makeup, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, there's some CGI stuff that looks a bit cheesy, but you know what? I'm down with that. If the story is interesting, I mean, there's not a lot of people who are going to know the truth. So there might be like one guy like me who's sitting in there going, "No, Neil Bogart actually was doing this in 1963."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, those.
Is it going to be entertaining?
Oh yeah, hopefully.
That's all you care about.
those casual fans are going to go there and they're going to look at that Gene Simmons makeup like, oh, it's Gene Simmons.
No,
But
they're not even going to do that. It's going to be Mr. Bogart. Here are your drugs for the day. Not even going to
like the blue Paul Stanley makeup was terrible. Oh my good lord.
So,
right, one more topic before we go.
Yeah,
and let's see what we have left on this list. That's probably quick.
No fucking pancakes.
No fucking pancakes. Okay. I think we have to do a cooking show with Dan. Well, actually, Daniel used to have some cool videos up of him cooking out while camping. All right. What's on your Christmas list this year? You know, and it can be something that you actually have maybe already gotten, like your tickets to take your daughters to the. You're going to take your kids to the show. That sounds like a pretty freaking good Christmas present to me, because you're going to share something that's been important to you for a very long time with your progeny.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to. And they have heard some Kiss music through the years.
They've walked in on our shows.
They know a song or two, and they walked in on the shows, and they know more songs than the average man, so to speak. So I think they will enjoy it, actually. I think they will like it. And, you know, we heard all about people, the fathers bringing their kids to the show. I didn't think I would get there, but since they were keeping this tour on going for so long, my kids, you know, they grew up. And now's the time. Now's the time to show
now
them.
They're old
what
enough to see
about.
a 70-year-old man slap his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't look 70. I mean, it was like the last time I saw them live was like, I don't know, last year. Or was it this year? Well, it wasn't that long ago. And my girlfriend said, "Is that Paul Stanley or is that a stand-in? He looks way too young for Paul Stanley." I mean, he's strutting around. So it still brings it, at least the physicality of it. It's just he needs some help with some other stuff. But I'm all with that. So I'll enjoy those two shows, and we'll talk about them when it comes to that.
Yeah, enjoy the show with your family. I can't wait to do a review show of that experience with you. Mark, what's on your Christmas list this year other than world peace?
Well, I think mainly I've always been one of these guys who collects the vinyl and the things. I'm not really like a collector of other things from Kiss stuff, but I think though I'm going to finally pull the trigger and get probably that Destroyer box set. I didn't get it. I'd ordered it before. Yes. And when I did order it originally, I sent it back because they tried to ding me with $60 of like customs fees and stuff. And I said, fuck it. I didn't want it then. So I think I'll probably try to get a cheaper version off of Amazon or something and grab a copy, because I would like to have it in there if just for some of the other things in there, like those Gotham newspaper bits and that are really interesting to read and stuff like that. So it's worth getting, I think, just for that. And eventually I'd like to get the Creatures one as well. I mean, I have everything else from it, just not the actual box set. So I got all the vinyl and this and that. So it is a great set to have. So I really do want to get that stuff. And yeah, there you go.
There it is, the book.
Solid gold. Solid gold, baby.
Exactly. That's one of the main things I want to get because of the box set, right? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to finally getting down and grabbing a copy of those, because, you know, so many other things happened in between this year that kind of prevented certain things to get done. So now that this year is kind of coming to an end and I finally got my vinyl taken care of and so on and so forth, I can focus on that now.
Good. Lonnie, what's going to be under your Bengals themed Christmas tree? Would you like to be there?
Playoff victories. No,
Who did?
I guess my Christmas list includes that. I hope they continue with these off the soundboard releases that they've done. I would really like to see those continue. They've done, a reunion one. They've done like one from the 70s. They've done, a couple different versions of the band. I'd really like to see them dig a little bit deeper on these, and go for some unmasked versions of the band type things. Either it's from the early 80s, the Lick It Up period, or late 80s with Hot in the Shade, or early 90s with Revenge. and not ignore that period of the band. Every release always seems to be.
Excuse me.
Jesus, seems to be.
Wasn't me.
That's not the first time.
Seems to be.
version.
Original lineup in the 70s or post reunion. So I really would like them to see them harness in. I'm not saying like multiple releases. Just give me something from in between 1980 and 1996.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Nice theme. Give me more.
Agreed. Give that.
Ken.
Yeah. One thing about Lonnie's, I thought he said revenge, like a soundboard. I thought I hope they recorded the club soundboard, like San Francisco. Yeah, the San Francisco one. I hope they recorded that. But who knows? But that would be fantastic if they did that and released it.
That was not Stone Pony. That was just the Stone, right?
That was the Stone. Yeah, it's called the Stone.
Okay. Stone.
Which I think originally was called the Keystone before the Stone. I think. But anyway, otherwise, maybe a summer shed tour next year out here. Maybe you can come to near me.
Are you still going to be touring?
I would definitely go. I really do think they're going to play some U.S. dates in the summer.
Yeah.
August, September. That's my guess. That's just me. That's just a wild guess. I don't know anything.
Look at all those Euro dates that have been announced. That's just June and July. There's a lot more of the year.
They end very curiously of where the last date is.
They've done that before.
There's
just like
plenty of time to come back and do a late summer run.
Yeah, I think they'll do one more little run of some other, amphitheaters and things that they may have not gone back to yet. So I'd like to do that.
Christmas list. Yeah, I'd actually be down to Ken's last suggestion there of them coming back our way. I'd like to see all the Northern Californian folk again at a Kiss show and commune properly at the Electric Church. But I think for me, I'm going to be selfish. I would just like to frickin' complete successfully Mass Hysteria.
Yeah.
We're
looking forward to that.
Kiss on Tour Volume 2 is done. I'm still trying to work out the cover image issue. Haven't found anything yet to use, so that is done. And I'm working on Aerosmith Volume 2. I think for this Christmas, though, I'm just happy to be here. To continue doing podcasts, getting together with friends week in and week out to talk about the band that I love, that is my Christmas wish. It's something that continues, whether I'm watching Three Sides, whether Podkiss drops the occasional episode, which are far too infrequent, Ken. You still got a lot to say, buddy. You got a lot to say.
But Julian, I thought you would drop that, that early tape of Lonnie that you mentioned today. That would have been cool to like a segment when we ended a segment of Lonnie testing his mic the first time.
Yeah, you did.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's better suited for next January.
It's just a baby.
Yeah, and the context for that was I was looking for some video. I think I already mentioned this earlier on. And I actually found Lonnie's kind of tech check before we did our first ever episode with him. And we'd done a couple episodes before that because the first show was Daniel, me, Alex, and Nigel. Yeah, and then we had Jay Richter, did quite a few of the early episodes.
Jay was a lot early on.
And then there was Sean as well. But I also found the audition that, what was C? Did the South American chap. So, the KissFAQ podcast is going into its 9th year next year.
Crazy.
Three Sides has celebrated some milestones this year. Ages of Rock celebrated some milestones. Decibel Geek, every episode is a milestone. Michael Butler, the Rock and Roll Geek podcast. A lot of these shows have been around for a long time, and I find that we're now up in that same sort of ballpark. We've done a lot of episodes. We've had a lot of really good times doing this. Mark came down to Rock and Pod that first year. Lonnie was there. we've gotten together. Daniel, I've not met you in person yet, and I'm going to have to change that.
If you buy a ticket, Daniel, if you buy a ticket for Julian,
you can get one of the tickets for Dalhalla in Sweden if you come over.
I would so love to go to Sweden and see the shows. I just don't see it happening with my family commitments and what's going on. But getting back to Kissmas, we're at it's the 22nd today. I do want to wish on behalf of everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to those who are observing, happy holidays, whatever you do. Just be happy. Thank you for your support this year. We're going to do a wrap up next episode. We're going to go live. Give you fair warning, same time, same bat channel that we dropped this episode, which is 4 p.m. on Thursday. Come on, share the best of your year, whether it's a 3 Sides episode. I don't care. We don't edit or censor anything if it's Kiss related. What was the best part of your year in 2022? Share it with the rest of the Kiss Army. Maybe you'll turn someone on to checking something out that they haven't seen yet, or listening to something. Was it completely not Kiss? Kiss did not do anything for you this year, but you went to the Aerosmith residency. Whatever. What was the best of 2020 for 2022 for all of our listeners on this podcast? But for now, from Lonnie, Mark, Daniel, and myself, Ken and myself, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week live and in color. Not from New York.
You're black and white.
Well, we can be. I can fuck up the tech very easy. All right, that's it. We're out. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.